is child welfare and child safeguarding. So we're going to be talking about child welfare a little bit and finishing up with child safeguarding. Okay, so child safeguarding and child welfare. So we wanna clarify these both terms. So child safeguarding is about making sure all staff and volunteers make decisions and carry out tasks that do not cause harm to children. Okay, so so this is basically what we've been talking about since the beginning, okay? Child welfare is a focus on children being safe in situations external to our organization's operations and programming. So these are things kind of like when you see bruises or you see a parent being violent onto a child or there's verbal abuse or emotional abuse or they were sexually assaulted. All of these are more like, you know, more where it goes further out into that. So a question is, do you think that child safeguarding and child protection, meaning welfare, ever overlap? So yes, if you as a staff member or volunteer become aware of a child welfare risk and fail to address it according to state law, it now becomes an issue of neglect under our child safeguarding policy. So that is why it's very important to um, be mindful of these things that are happening with the children and being aware what's causing any harm or what could potentially cause any harm. So we are, as New Mexico, we are mandated reporters. So that is why if we don't address it or report it adequately or as soon as possible, it now becomes our responsibility and we are the neglectful individuals who didn't appropriately report it on time because we don't know what could ever happen. We saw it, we didn't say anything, and you know, things happen and now it falls onto us. So that is why it's necessary to always report it as soon as possible if you ever see anything going against this. We will talk about how to do that in just a few minutes. Okay, so why is child safeguarding important? So in reality, is to have everyone safe, right? As I mentioned in the beginning, and I'll repeat it forever, forever. It's to ensure that children are safe with all of us, all people who work with children and are in our facility right now on campus, everyone, their safety. That's why child safeguarding is important, to ensure children are safe within the program, to ensure that all processes and operations are safe for the children we serve, to mitigate the possible or potential risk of a power imbalance between adult and child and guests. So from everything that we talked about, this is kind of the review. We are providing that safety for the child and making sure that we are not being safe with the children. If we have things out in the open or there's things or there was one time where I went out towards the playground here in the back and one of our guests comes up to me and says, hey, miss, there's two kids with a wooden stick and a piece of metal and they're playing with it and I've already told them to stop and I think that's very dangerous. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went towards the playground and yes, indeed, there was a group of kids hanging out there and these two little ones, probably 9 or 10, one of them had this thick stick, just, and I think it even had like sharp edges on it and another piece of metal, like a big tube of metal. It was really heavy and they were fighting with it. You know, it, yeah, it still was dangerous. So right away, the mama bear came out and in a calm approach. So I went up to them and say, "Oh no, 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 no! Please give me the." Everything worked out fine. We made sure um, that if they ever see things like that, let us know. And also, we addressed it with our staff and say we need to make sure our place is safe because imagine if no one would have said anything, who knows what could have happened with this piece of metal and this wood. And there was in the playground playing, so we don't know where they found them. So, but we addressed it. So those are the things of why child safeguarding is important, because the worst thing can happen anytime. So those are the reasons why we talk about child safeguarding. Okay, so we're gonna go through these. Usually I put them as a test for you guys, but it's good to go through these as a practice run, and then in the future, if that ever happens, you guys know what is child safeguarding, what is child welfare, or does it fall with both concerns? So number one, as a child has been unusually withdrawn for almost your entire shift, as he reaches for an object, his shirt slightly lifts and you see bruising on his back. So, is this a child safeguarding concern, a child welfare concern, or is it both? Take a moment to see what it is. Okay. So this one is both. Okay. Both because we acknowledge what's happening, the child safeguarding, seeing that the child is withdrawn. We are noticing that maybe we haven't even gone to parent or to the child himself and seeing what's happening. And then we see bruising. So that is a child welfare thing to think about, right? Because we don't know yet, right? But we have that alert we are aware of it. So now we're gonna act. So we're gonna act on that. So we're gonna either talk to parent. You have to let your volunteer coordinator know, and then we'll go from there. We'll make sure that everyone is notified and we will investigate further. So this is of both concerns. Number two, during a group activity, you and another volunteer decide to do, totally a typo, sorry. During a group activity, you and another volunteer decide to do an activity. You see a staff member or another volunteer that you're working with yell at a child, telling her to stop leaning on a stack of boxes before she gets hurt. So what concern is this? Is this a child safeguarding concern, child welfare concern, or both? So this one is a child safeguarding concern, mostly because there's a stack of boxes, probably where it's accessible to our guests. So we need to make sure that we have that out of the way, right? Because someone can get hurt. And of course, the biggest thing is that we yelled at the child. So that is on us. We are not providing that child safeguarding policy onto our guest, onto our child that we're watching or we have in our presence in our program. We are not providing that. So we, in essence, have been violating that child safeguarding concern because we are supposed to be that calm approach, not yelling at the child, and also not making sure that the place where they are is safe. Okay. A volunteer leading an art activity with the children is feeling ill and having trouble attentively watching the children as they work on the assigned activity. So, what concern is this? So, this is a child safeguarding concern. So, because it's a child safeguarding concern is because we are not being there present for the child, right? So we're not there completely, so we ourselves shouldn't be there. Let's just say that we shouldn't be there because we're not 100% there, because we are the safety and the supervision of these children in this program. So we have to make sure that we are there present, making sure we are attentively looking, right? So, but if you're not feeling well, or it's not your day, or that it will happen. Let's just make sure that we're aware of our own how we're feeling and how our day is going, and maybe it's not a good day to be with the kids, right? Because then it's our fault for neglecting or not being clearly supervising or providing that safety for the children. They can't, you are not that um, strong facilitator to go to, right? So because, and it will happen. It's okay if you don't feel well or something's happening, or um uh you know it's not there. You can ask the other volunteer, if you have another partner there with you, say, hey, can you take over the lead? I'll just sit back or go home, or kind of help you with the picking up or passing out stuff. So those are the things that you can do. So that's on us. So that's why it's a child safeguarding thing. So great. So now we're almost done, I promise. So in the reporting to serve the voice and rights of the child, okay? So if you see or hear something that you believe is not in line with our child safeguarding policy, please let us know. Please let us know. Making sure that any suspicion of or known of child safeguarding policy violations, please report them. If you suspect of something, please report it to both the volunteer coordinator or the supervisor on shift. So you can ask who is the supervisor on shift, and they will let you know right away. And you can let the supervisor on shift know. If you find the volunteer coordinator as well, you can let that person know as well. So please let them know as soon as possible. They can be anonymously or by name. Right now, we don't have like a report document to do this, but please speak up and still say it verbally to our supervisors and the volunteer coordinator. And then, of course, these reports will be given to the child safeguarding focal point. So the person, it could be myself or another individual who will be here, and we will take action onto it and address immediately any of these things. And of course, any imminent risk, please call 911 at all times, and making sure you let the supervisors know at all times. And honestly, the ultimate goal of our program is the safety and well-being of our children and who are with us. So using good judgment at all times. So that is child safeguarding, making sure everyone's safe and everyone's well. Okay. So welcome to the children's program. So your point of contact for right now, it will be the volunteer coordinator. There's 2 different shifts at the moment. This may change or may stay the same. The first shift is from 12:30 to 2:30, and then the second shift is from 2:30 to 4:30. The reason we added a 30-minute extra for any cleaning of supplies, or you can run through all the way till 4:30 or all the way to 2:30. We just give those 30-minute break to kind of gather your things. Like if you're doing chalk for the day, getting that extra 30 minutes of finalizing the children finalizing the project, and then putting back the chalk, putting it away, and all of that. So some of the trainings that you will have in the future will be psychological first aid, but of course, child safeguarding is the number one to have before you work with the children, okay? But the future training will be psychological first aid for children and caregivers. So this one will be a future training, okay? So these are some primary policies just to end on for BSC here on campus. When you're working with the kids in this program, making sure that parents and or our caregivers, guardians must remain in or within eyesight. Okay, any activity that you do, or even outside, if you're at the playground and you notice a child is like looking for mom and dad, reminding mom and dad that they need to be outside, okay? Or let the supervisor on shift know that they need to be outside with the children, okay? Because again, we remind them that we're not a daycare, and even though there's someone out there, an adult or another adult there, we can't impose that responsibility onto anyone. So they need to be responsible of their children. So making sure that there's parents within eyesight. So even if you're doing an activity in one of our rooms, making sure that the parents are available, at least one, or if they only have that one parent, making sure they're there and letting them know that they can step out whenever they need to, and then they can come back with the child to continue with the activity. So, but parents must remain within eyesight at all times. No administering medications, changing of diapers, provide snacks or meals. Please let the staff know in any of these cases, or take them to medical, or have speak with medical, or first let your supervisor, the supervisor, know, and they can help you best on that. Child bathroom procedure, you just have parents take them. We try not to be with children alone, right? So make sure your activity schedule includes children of all abilities. So again, what I mentioned before, making sure that the activity you bring, or whatever activity we have there in the volunteer office, that these activities are accessible for everyone. Right now, we have 3 that I know that I've seen happen, that is accessible for everyone. They do chalk outside, bubbles, and I think just games outside that are for everyone. So making sure that is available for every child. Please wear your BSC volunteer badge at all times, please. And if you don't have a badge, the volunteer coordinator will help you with that and explain to you what are the next steps in getting your badge. And also, if you need other materials, please let the volunteer coordinator know. They can go back here in a container that we have in the back with other materials that you can use with the children. We have crafts, we have color pencils, crayons, we have construction paper, we have some books. So if you ever need something and you have an idea, please let them know, and we can get you that material if we have it available. Okay, so these are basically the primary policies that I really highlight here for the children's program. So please make sure, if you have any other one, based on this training, please let us know, and we will for sure add it. And if you have any questions after this, please write them down and let the volunteer coordinator know, and we will answer them as soon as possible. So thank you so much.